There's just like path to exile that's throwing the math off. Need do or burn. Don't be land. Path to exile. Oh.
Mark mulliganing down to 5 now. It may actually be 4 that he's going to.
Mark mulls again to 5.
Okay, so it's to 5. That's unfortunate when we see like really harsh mulligans in the feature matches.
Yeah.
I always like it when we see like really good games of Magic.
Absolutely.
Tight games. But, Mark would appreciate it if I said this. So, I think it's okay to mulligan a 5 as long as you're ready to Keurig Zenith somebody. So.
I'll agree with that, even though I don't know what it means. I assume it's a StarCraft reference.
Yeah. Yeah, StarCraft is, I think, as far as commentary for gaming goes, I think what made me interested in doing it at all was watching StarCraft commentary. So.
I'll have to check that out. Is that the one, that Day 9 guy or whatever? Is that what he does?
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of Day 9. I watch mostly like the tournament coverage, like Artosis and Tasteless doing GSL coverage. They're my favorite team. So.
I've only heard of Day 9. That's the only one I know. And I've never watched them. But, we've got both players opening on fetch lands. Josh now second fetch land and cracks them both.
Yeah, he's got a Savannah and a Taiga.
Turn to Stoneforge Mystic. Mark says, sure.
And turn 2 Stoneforge, pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think he's just going to grab Batterskull here. I would. I think a lot of the time, see, he keeps grabbing Jitte against the Zoo deck, and you just want to grab Batterskull. Like, I think this is kind of like a trap. People grab Jitte way too aggressively.
Does he not play Batterskull? This isn't the one where it was listed under the creatures.
Oh, he just doesn't have it.
Yeah,
okay.
He's not going to find Batterskull.
Yeah, I guess Maverick decks aren't usually playing that nowadays.
You just think they go hand in hand Stoneforge Batterskull.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't play it. It's just such a powerful effect to have in your deck. Like, imagine that last game if instead of searching up that Jitte and then like wasting all that time trying to equip it, if he had just gotten a Batterskull and then just like cast it on 5 and then just ran his opponent over with it.
Yeah, that would have been a lot tougher for him for Mark to deal with. But Mark follows up Josh's 2-drop with another hefty 2-drop of his own. Here's a Tarmogoyf.
Currently, Tarmogoyf's power and toughness are the same as Stoneforge Mystics.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's a
not something that happens very often. Oh,
and there's a punishing fire.
No, that's not dead.
Because the punishing fire goes to the graveyard, and the Tarmogoyf becomes a 2/3.
Yep.
And now Josh needs to somehow.
A little bit of a.
That's a little awkward, yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit of a punt.
Yeah, and I'm sure Josh probably knew that and just was not thinking at the time. He's thinking.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's kind of a strange interaction.
It is.
Yeah, it kind of happens to everybody once before they understand. I've definitely tried to cast a Lash Out on a 2/3 Tarmogoyf before.
And Swords to Plowshares.
Like 5 years ago once.
May end up doing it. Now here's a situation where, I guess you don't want to take the hit from that Goyf, but is it really that much? I mean, it's not that big. Take the hit, and then you get the opportunity to return Punishing Fire. Instead, he lost that opportunity.
Yep.
I would have taken the damage. I would have taken the hit there, and.
But interestingly enough, see, Mark mulligan to 5 this game, and now after that play, it's like Josh mulligan down to 6. So Mark just found like another little edge there because Josh was willing to give up that card.
All right, so we have a Green Sun Zenith from Josh. I think Josh's hand is a bunch of lands. Got a quick glimpse of it a minute ago. There's Rock's War Monk. We were talking about that earlier.
And the other thing is here, I think like a Knight is probably just better than a Rock's War Monk also.
It would be a 3/3 Knight, and he maybe learned his lesson from last game. Maybe doesn't want the Knight so early. Is it? Oh, it's 2. Okay, I didn't see the third or the second fetch land. Sorry.
He's at 18. Had to have.
Well, I guess we'll see. If Mark can deal with the Rock's War Monk, then that means he could have dealt with the Knight too.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mark looks to have brought in Tormod scripts to fight opposing knights or goyfs. There's only one Tarmogoyf in Josh's deck, but
all right, now Josh is actually going to get a swing in here with the Rock Swarm Monk. Papa Rocks. Ninja Rhino.
Papa Roxy. Like the Lady Gaga song.
Exactly.
She's singing about him.
Ellie Norton singing about Rock Swarm Monk.
Yeah. She likes
That's
pancakes.
She
just likes the pancakes that he's flipping.
I always thought of them as like the coins from the Mario game.
They do look more like coins, but all right. Wasteland hits Mark's Taiga after he lands a Jite.
And that's got to be frustrating for Mark. He's stuck on one land, so getting Wastelanded when you only have one, pretty rough. That's a Jite of his own.
Yep.
Josh has there.
All right.
So both of those are going in the graveyard.
Jita Wars. And Nakatl's still big.
Yeah, I mean he's a 3/3.
Yeah, interesting that Josh chose to wasteland the Taiga when he could have also shrunk the Nakatl. He really just didn't want him to have access to green, or was he just trying to keep him off the second land?
And that's an interesting choice, bringing in the Tormod script. It's it's really common against decks like Maverick to bring a card like Relic, but when you're Tormod scripting, it's kind of rough.
Did he try to play 2 lands? Okay, that's what they were talking about? Okay. Yeah. Looks like Josh tried to play a second land and got a warning.
All right.
All right, Stoneforge Mystic.
More powerful spells.
So Josh has 3 times the creatures, 4 times the land as Mark.
I mean, he started with a very good hand.
Yeah, and Mark mulligan. So did we see what Josh fetched? Did he not fetch, but used for Stoneforge? Did he just not have anything to get? Because I didn't even see him pick up his deck.
Yeah, I didn't see him pick up his deck either. I guess he already has the Feast and Famine in his hand.
Guess so, yeah. So looking at trying to catch a glimpse of Mark's hand, he's being a little stubborn and hiding it. Does not want to work with us. I think I caught a glimpse of a second Wild Nakatl stranded right now, which may be exactly
Wasteland was pretty brutal.
Yeah, maybe exactly what Josh was thinking. Rather have 1 3/3 Nakatl than 2 2/2s potentially. But Rock's War Monk into the red zone. Mark decides to chump block there, and now has an empty board, but does manage to get away. Do away with the Rock's War Monk with a lightning bolt. And here comes the Squire beatdown. Stoneforge Mystics in for 2, 1 each. Horizon Canopy draws Josh a card. Mark draws Lightning Helix off the top. Mark desperately searching for land. He's got a lot of 1-drops, but he's not seeing anything that's going to help him out here.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. Like, you'd expect him to at least have like something in his hand that he has.
Steplinks or a Curdape or something.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, his hand is just all green 1-drops and like other cards. So
and cards that cost more than 1, yeah.
On pink paper, please find your seats.
All right. Looks like the
yeah, and they're going to head off to game 3.
Yeah,
so Mark Larson gets to be on the play here.
It was an interesting decision there. I mean, he's at 11 life. He's only getting hit for 2 a turn. Is he that far behind?
Oh yeah. I mean, he probably had no answer to the Sword Equip, and then the Stoneforge is just too big. And then even if he redraws on path, he could.
Fair enough.
I mean, But maybe he conceded prematurely. Who knows? I mean, it happens.
Oh, is that there?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So,
What happened was Josh must have
natural ordered.
Yeah, Josh must have natural ordered to fetch a progenitus, and Mark says, "Don't bother, you win."
Yes. So Josh decided to sideboard in a natural order plan. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Makes it even more tough to beat, because now Mark has to feel like, hey, I may have to rush and kill him before he even hits 4 mana.
Yeah, I mean,
not that Mark wants
to
to
do
do
a
it.
weird spot.
Yeah, not that Mark really is trying to do something other than beat his opponent as fast as possible. But
He's playing Zoo. His whole game plan is get in before Josh can. So, I mean, Josh is playing a deck that should cause Mark a lot of problems.
yeah, I mean, this is actually kind of cool because other than Gaddock Teague, Mark has no answer to a natural order. And Josh, knowing he's not playing against a blue deck, feels pretty confident that Mark's not going to side in Gaddock Teague in game 2. He says, if I draw a natural order and can cast it, that should be game. Took a little bit of time.
Yeah, but I mean, eventually you draw it, and then they die. You get 10-10 with everything.
You don't have to worry about a counter spell. You just got to worry about a burn spell on one of your guys. If you have just one guy, natural order and no guys, that's pretty bad too. But both players now playing very quickly because there are only 7 minutes left in the round. So Mark, turn 1 Wild Nacatl off of a Fetch Land Taiga, and turn 1 Noble Hierarch from Josh.
And it looks like we're going to get the opportunity to see both of these decks operating at full capacity. These are the ideal 1-drops for both of these people.
Yeah. Well, both players playing very quickly, and I think that's the right call. So, turn 2 Horizon Canopy from Mark in with the Nacatl. Nacatl is only a 2/2 right now, and Tarmogoyf from Mark. All right, Josh untaps. Tarmogoyf a 1/2 right now. Squire Goyf. They do have an extra 4 minutes, so they have about 10 minutes left.
Here.
Yeah, we always forget about that. Looking at the amount of time left. Mother of Ruins from Josh. Now, that's the first time we've seen that on the table, besides going into Josh's graveyard from all those dredges.
Yeah, and I mean, Mother of Ruins is excellent against decks like Zoo.
Yeah.
It if you untap with it in play, it makes all the removal really bad. It makes all your swords and Umezawa's Jittes much better than they were prior to that. I think we haven't seen a lot of Mom recently, but the Maverick deck is the one deck that's able to really use that card to its fullest potential.
So Josh does away with the Nacatl with a Punishing Fire, and Mark crashes in with the Tarmogoyf, and has a Lightning Helix to deal with the Mother of Ruins, just in time.
You know, it'd be really good right now, Dungeon Geist.
Dungeon Geist in Legacy? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, when you can have a Sower of Temptation be very similar, play a very similar role, and actually better, considering you get the creature. So, Stoneforge Mystic from Josh now gets Umezawa's Jitte, and presumably the Hierarch crashes in for 1, unless unless he wants to play a second Hierarch, which I did see in his hand.
Seems to make sense.
There's a Wasteland for Mark's Taiga. Mark, again, stuck on 1 land, and a second Hierarch for Josh added to the board.
And I mean, those Hierarchs whose Alta triggers really start to add up quickly.
Yeah, and looks like he's going to be able to get that Jitte into play and equipped if he wants.
And he wants.
Yeah. So Tarmogoyf crashes in again. This time for looks like 3, I think. 3 or 4 actually. No, 3. Creature land instant. And we have Umezawa's Jitte on the board. Umezawa's Jitte looks like it may get some action here. Stoneforge Mystic
Picked
picks
up
up
by
the Jite.
Stoneforge.
Swings. Mark has Path to Exile.
Yeah, and I mean that's really
he needed
important.
to have Path to Exile, or he was in some big trouble there.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't have that, he's just about out of the game. Even now that he did have that, he's still in a pretty rough spot with his opponent having a resolved Jit in play. Again, he's going to be needing to send all of his burn at Josh's creatures to prevent the equips, and in doing so, he kind of time walks himself in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and at this point, he can't even rely on that unless he gets a red source, and I don't know that he has one. I think I did catch a glimpse of a Gaddock Teak there already, trying to prevent the natural order kind of situation, but he can't get that into play either. So right now, I mean, Josh could cast natural order and win.
Yeah, Josh can just pay 4 mana, search the library for Progenitus, and then he's just dealing like 10 damage a turn, just cracking over and over again. And it doesn't take many attacks when you're attacking for 10 damage.
Yeah, but looks like he doesn't have natural order. Instead, he has Noble Hierarch crashing in with Umezawa's Jite for 2. Jite connects, gets 2 counters, and Knight of the Reliquary joins the force. So Mark doing quite a bit of damage with just that Tarmogoyf, but I think the brakes are on now, unless he has another Path to Exile, or he's got a red source. How big is that Knight? I see 1, 2 lands in Josh's graveyard. So is it just a 4/4 Knight? I see Wasteland,
yeah, I think,
fetch land. He does have another fetch land on board, so that can be as big as a 5/5, or a 6/6. Now, so it's pretty far out of range, yeah. Especially with only 1 red source. He can't double burn anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, he really needs a Path to Exile. Alright, and an Ancient Grudge for Mark Larson is going to attempt to kill that Umezawa's Jite. So Josh is going to have to respond in some way or another. I believe he's going to use that Jite to gain 4 life right now.
It's a 4/4 Knight. Yeah, with the potential to be a 6/6.
And this Knight is beating this Goyf. So we're going to have to see how much Josh decides to move in on it. And he decides to go all the way because his opponent is at 12. And by presenting him with 6 points of power, he's able to put his opponent on a 2-turn clock.
So it's a 6/6 Knight getting +2/+2 from the Exalted triggers.
And Mark's still stuck on 2 lands, getting a hand that's flooded full of some probably sweet cards.
And Kasali Pride Mage for Mark. Tarmogoyf comes over. He's gonna just get chump blocked by a Noble Hierarch. I'm surprised not the Dryad Arbor. And we have Punishing Fire for the Pride Mage. Pride Mage goes away.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this tournament shakes out with all the mono red. With decks like this can really just adapt really well. You see things like Josh's sideboard. Josh decided he's going to include a few copies of Enlightened Tutor, and then he can just search for Circle Protection red against the red decks.
Yeah.
And that also allows him to search for things like Tormod's Crypt against Dredge. So that could be really interesting.
All right, Mark draws Path to Exile.
And that's pretty important here. You know, he's really going to need a card to deal with that Knight. He's on 1.
And, well, Tarmogoyf seems to be not long for this world.
Yeah,
but
Tarmogoyf is going to get swords.
It's not the worst thing in the world because Mark is at 1 and can use the extra buffer of life. So, all right, exiled. How big was that Goyf? They're counting it up now. 4, I don't know if they were counting his power or toughness.
And being at one with a Horizon Canopy in play is one of the least fun experiences in
That's
Magic
true.
the Gathering.
Well, he's no longer at 1, and he has now an answer for that knight. So, oh,
Very
he has
nice.
a Progenitus in his hand. Josh has Progenitus in his hand. Not where you want the Progenitus.
Not at all.
Josh's hand is dead. Mark is still at only 5 and is, well, now 4, I'm sorry. Is facing down basically 2 damage a turn because of the Dryad Arbor. Or it's going to be 3 now.
I'm surprised he didn't play it before he attacked. The Exalted Trigger seems like it might be worth it.
Lightning Helix for the Dryad Arbor. I think he did play it before he attacked, didn't he? Mark's up to 6. And finally found a fetch land. As a 3rd land now. Can he capitalize on the opportunity? Plays Knight of the Reliquary. They're both rushing very quickly here. They do have still another 5, almost 6 minutes left before they go to time.
And it's important that both players play pretty fast here.
Yeah. And we have Scavenging Ooze from Josh. He still just has that 1 Progenitus in his hand, right? No, nothing else, right?
Again, the pug-like ooze, Scavenging Ooze,
Yeah.
making an appearance here today.
Scavenging Ooze is surprisingly irritating, and you know, Mark finally gets his digs his heels in, gets a knight, and the knight's gonna lose a lot of power here just because of Scavenging Ooze. It's got to be really frustrating. He's losing. His knight is losing power fast, deflating. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many lands are even left in Mark's graveyard now. That knight may just be a 2/2. He can. Yeah, no lands left. Okay, confirmed. Knight is just a 2/2. You know, he can get some lands in the graveyard. All right, so
Alright, so Josh is going to gain a little bit of life.
just gain a life there off of the in response to the lightning bolt on his Scavenging Ooze.
See what he goes for here.
Knight can get
Goes for-
a little bigger here at the end of Josh's turn, or after blocking if he needs to. So, looks like Josh did not attack. That's my
No, he did
guess.
not.
And so, end of turn, Knight gets a little bit bigger, replaces a plateau with a plateau.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you can do with either Reliquary. Sometimes you just like the mana base you have, so you're just going to sacrifice them and get a fetch land and then fetch another land, or just sacrifice something and get something else. You can do fun tricks like float mana, like you just did here, where you floated red, then tapped the Knight of the Reliquary and fetched up the plateau. All of these types of plays make you just get the maximum value out of your Knight of the Reliquary. And that's certainly the best card in both of these decks. So, interesting part about Josh's deck is Josh's deck actually is built much more around the Knight. He's able to find very key cards with the Knight, like cards like Caracas, which beat things like Progenitus. Cards like, Grove of the Burn Willows, things like that. It's just
Caracas doesn't beat Progenitus, right? Okay.
well, Caracas beats Emrakul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Progenitus, though.
not Progenitus. Yes.
So there's a Tormod's Crypt from Mark. Removes Josh's graveyard from the game. What we know, Josh has, I believe, 3 cards in hand. I think it's Progenitus, land, and something else. It may be Progenitus, land. I just didn't catch what. Oh, is it Swords to Plowshares? Yeah, I think it is. I think that's Swords to Plowshares from the Elspeth versus Tezzeret.
I imagine if he's got those sorts of plowshares, he probably plays the Elspeths from the Elspeth versus Tezzeret also.
Yeah, possibly. At least
It's nice
one,
that they printed
right?
that Swords to Plowshares. It makes the card a lot more available.
Yeah.
It's a card that a lot of people need for this format, and it's been out of print for so long that it was hard to acquire before they did that.
Yeah, I like the artwork. Therese Nielsen,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
classic Magic artist. Force of Will. She is probably her most iconic version, or iconic art. All right, turn 1 was Mark. He attacks. Swords to Plowshares coming down. Looks like he cracks a fetch land in response just to make the knight a little bit bigger. Loses a life. but going to gain that life right back because of the knight's stats being pumped there. 1 extra land in the graveyard, so. How many lands are there? 1, 2, I see 3, so was it a 5/5? I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So Mark's going to get a bit of life. And we're closing in on the end of this game.
Yeah,
Josh is taking his
this is turn 2 here for Josh.
And then we go 3, 4, 5, and the game's done and it's a draw. Unless somebody's able to win in that time frame.
Right.
But that's going to require some lucky top decks.
Yeah, so we've got Noble Hierarch knocking Mark down by just 1. Mark draws a Path to Exile. Josh's hand, I think, is Land Progenitus. One of those lands is Grove of the Burn Willows. Not that it matters too much right now, but I think Windswept Heath he may have just drawn. Alright, so this is turn 3, right? Or was this turn 5? This is 5, okay.
This is the final turn.
Plays Knight.
And now they're probably discussing
maybe concessions here or whatever. It says, you know, I've got a Knight. I kind of wonder. You're gonna find out how that actually ended up if any of them decided to concede to the other.
Be a draw.
Yeah, it seemed it wasn't clear to me which one actually had the advantage there, because you know certain times you're just like, yeah, I think you would have won if you would have had like 2 more turns. You would have won. You know.
Yeah, I mean, both players are kind of playing off the top of the deck, and even though the Maverick deck is more live off the top, I don't think the match is impossible to win for either player.
Yeah, so I think a draw is the acceptable result there. I think because both players really were live. I think you know that if they had some more time, it really could have been anyone's game.